Hey, what's up everyone, Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about crossing over your legs when you're sprinting, and we're going to start the video right now. Hey, my name is Morey Croson, and this is the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video, and let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that new intro here at the beginning. We're going to keep on building out, keep on providing better and better content for you. I'm starting to figure out a little bit more about how I could just do a better job of getting you guys the most information and really the best information to help you in improving your performance. So stick with us. I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. I'm more of an introverted person in general. And so being able to do these videos and get myself to be, a little bit more extroverted has taken some time, but I'm getting better here. So yeah, we're talking about crossing over the legs, and also audio-wise, I just got a new mic. I'm trying to get better audio too, make it so everything is just better quality. But going into crossing over the legs, the big thing that, I see this all the time, right? And what ends up being the problem with this is, let's say we're gonna do the 40-yard dash, right? And typically in the 40-yard dash, we're talking about 22 steps for the average person that's gonna be running that, 5'11" to 6'1" man or male athlete. And what happens is that this 22 steps very quickly becomes 24 to 25 steps, right? Even if it's 23 steps, okay? So let's just say by you not being consistent and taking one foot, having your feet track one step right in front of the other step is, it'll end up making it so you're going to end up probably doing a lot more than just one step, but if it ends up being one, and the average amount of time that you're spending on the ground for most people is 0.1, let's say, and a lot of people that have this issue, by the way, that crossing over their legs are actually very powerful, explosive athletes, right? And this ends up being a big problem for them because, you see them running, right? And then you see times and, it's somebody that's explosive, and then maybe they run 4.8, and we're sitting there like, how is this person running a 4.8 when he looks way more explosive or way faster than a lot of these guys that might be, running the same times, also running 4.8, right? And this ends up being the issue, is you're crossing over your legs, okay? So if you're fast and you can't explain why you're not getting great times, it's because you're crossing over your legs. So I would almost 100% guarantee that, at least 90% of the time. But, really to me, it's probably higher than that. But yeah, let's go. So it takes 0.1 for you to, take that extra step. So that's how much the average, if you're a fast guy, that's going to be how much time you're spending on the ground. And then also, if you're a fast guy, let's say you have a 0.33 transition time, right? The time that you're spent off the ground, right? So now that's an extra 0.43 seconds. So let's subtract that 0.43. Okay, this would be the average amount of time that you take per step, right? And let's just subtract that from that 0.48. And that's the difference, right? That would be technically a 4.37. One extra step. You take the same athlete who is able to take up the same amount of distance in that 22 steps and 40 yards, and you add an additional step, okay? Now that person is going to, the difference between a 4.8 and a 4.37. All right, so I think that really gives you a lot of context and why this is so important. So now we can go into what causes this, right? What causes, sorry about the light if there's any reflection here. What causes crossing over? And really it has a lot to do, usually with these people, they're very strong in upper half of the leg, right? So we're talking about the knee up, right? So their hamstrings, their quads, their glute muscles, all those muscles are strong, or at least, comparison-wise, in comparison to their lower half, right? Weaker lower half of the leg. I'm writing quick here, so my handwriting is not going to be as good. So if you have a weaker lower half of the leg, what's going to naturally happen is you're going to end up when your foot hits the ground, so you're creating a lot of force here with that upper half, right? So you're very strong, you're able to really pull back hard or push off really well, probably a combination of both. So you're using your hamstrings, you're using your quads, you're using that upper, but you're not able to sustain the lower half with what's happening within the upper half. So now when your foot's hitting the ground, we talked about this last time with the foot contact, we're gonna get a lot of instability during foot contact. Okay, so now when our foot hits, it's not strong and stable, right? It's unstable, there's instability. And so instead of it being a hit the ground and being nice and secure and then being able to rebound back up, what happens is that when you hit the ground, typically what will happen is that you're going to land, if we're going to look at this as the foot, you're going to land a little bit more on the outside part of the foot here, and then you're going to transition the weight to the inside part of the foot as you push off your toes, right? And so then you almost end up pushing off, like, not your big toe, but like the inside of your big toe, right? So you want to be transitioning so you're pushing off this part of the toe, right, or this part of the foot, right? So you're going through and your big toe is coming all the way through. So like your toenails are actually like the last thing that ends up being in contact with the ground. When you're pushing off here, what ends up being the last part of that contacts the ground is really like that inside part of your foot. So these will be people that also have like bunions and stuff like that, you know, and they will end up having or even get a lot of soreness on like that inside part of their big toe. Okay, so you're not pushing off the ground going forward, you're actually pushing off the ground going to the side, and then because of this, now your foot ends up coming across, right? At first you'll end up pushing back, and now your leg goes back this way, and then as you come back and through, you're gonna get an opposite reaction, right? For every action, there's a reaction, nice Einstein law there. And so now you're going to be crossing over that leg. This is obviously the right foot here. This is the right foot that's hitting the ground. So now you're going to be crossing over to the left. Okay, and it would be the same thing on the opposite side. So now when you land on your left leg, right, this would be the left foot, you land on the outside part of the left foot, okay? Then you transition to the inside part of the foot, so then you're pushing off more here rather than pushing off here. So now when you push off, you get here and then you come back around. So now you have this extra force that's coming across rather than being able to optimize coming straight forward and through. And so the best thing to do if you're somebody that is fast and isn't grading great times, you got to work on this ability to maintain or control this crossing over issue. All right, so how to fix this is we need to, one, get more big toe range of motion, right? Because this is, I mean, really we're talking about mostly top speed here when it comes to like these numbers and everything, but this is built up from the start through your drive phase. So this is, if you have this issue, it's not like you don't have this issue when you're starting, it's just a little bit more minimal at the beginning, and then as you get to your top speed and as you're starting to generate more force, it becomes more and more of a substantial problem, you know, as you get going. So one is you got to be able to improve that big toe range of motion, so when you're pushing off from the very beginning, you're driving, you're maintaining a good low heel recovery, and you're driving that foot straight through the best that you can. Some of you guys might have to slow down for a little bit. You have to work on a little bit of your, you know, technique. Okay, so now we're just thinking about being able to get that flexibility within the big toe to drive that knee straight forward and through, and not allowing our foot to go and our heel to be moving too much side to side, right? Too much side to side movement causes the crossing over the legs. More of a straight A to B movement is going to minimize that crossing over the legs, okay? So we have to be able to maximize that ability to really drive that knee straight through and have a good understanding of how to go through our start phase and our drive phase to be able to really control that movement pattern, okay? Number two, land on the inside of foot, right? So at first this might be a little bit more difficult because when you land on the inside part of the foot, there's going to be a lot of instability, but you have to do a better job. If your issue is crossing over the legs, you have to do a better job of landing on the inside part of your foot, ball the foot. You know, you just have to be more in control of where your foot is actually going and hitting the ground instead of landing on the outside part of the foot and wasting all that time with, again, you moving side to side. So really what we're talking about here is how are we going to minimize these movements, right? So if we're not getting good toe range of motion, then we're going to compensate by moving more side to side. If we're landing more on the outside part of the foot and then transition to the inside part of the foot, that's going to be a straight lateral movement when we want to be moving in a sagittal plane, right? We want to be moving forward, not side to side, and we have to be able to create the force there. So we're going to land a little bit more on the inside part of the foot. And three, and the last thing that I would say here is control the arm swing. Okay, we're going to just break it down to three. There's really going to be a lot more things that come into play here, guys. It's not going to just be these three, but if you can fix these three, you're on the right track, because I know, you know, these are three main areas. These are the big problems. After that, we can get into smaller problems. If we're talking, shedding a couple hundredths, things like that, you're gonna look into smaller details. But if we're talking about shedding tenths, right, 4.8 to 4.37 tenths of seconds, these three are going to be your main issues. So if we're going and our arm swing is getting away, if our hands are getting away from our body, our elbows getting too far away from our body, in the lateral sense, again, right, moving too much in that frontal plane instead of moving in the sagittal plane, right? So we want to be moving our arms straight forward and back. We don't want to be getting, our hands away. We don't want our hands crossing our midline or our elbows getting too far away from us. When that happens, that is the beginning cause of, landing on the outside part of the foot or, not getting the right range of motion within the toe. A lot of that comes from that arm swing as well. So look at these three things. If you feel like crossing over the legs is an issue for you, how you can fix it. More big toe range of motion. There's a lot of exercises that you could go and find for more big toe range of motion. If you want to reach out to me, I can give you some exercises as well. Landing on the inside of the foot, that's something that's just a control thing. You got to be able to think about that, understand it, and implement it. And then controlling the arm swing, same type of thing. I mean, there's drills that we could do. If you need drills, let me know. But, that's something that you should be able to implement on your own. But yeah, this is a big problem. This is something that you got to work on. This is something that a lot of people suffer with. And so you have to understand how to improve your speed by minimizing crossing over your legs. And this is, I can tell you right now, some of you guys can immediately shed at least 2/10 of your time if you could just figure out how to fix this issue. These three things are going to be the main thing. You got to commit to it though, right? That's why we're doing this 28-day speed program, because I want you guys to understand commitment. What does commitment take? I am committed to helping you guys get faster. That's why I'm constantly putting up videos. That's why I'm constantly making programs. I'm always thinking about how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And this is another example of trying to do that, right? I'm looking at how people are crossing over their legs too much. It's just killing your guys' times. You guys are fast, but you're not getting the results from a number perspective. And this is the reason why. If this really made a big difference for you and helped you out and you haven't joined our 28-day speed program, check that out in the description down below. Get a speed breakdown, join our speed program. We have a lot of resources to help you guys out in this. And if you have any questions, let me know. Hit the comments down below. As always, click that thumbs up on this video. That really helps us out a ton. Leave a comment as well. That helps us out. And subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.